On this episode of Darren After the Credits, we have a brand new episode of Invincible, the mid-season finale. Without further ado, let's get into it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Darren After the Credits. I'm your host today, Darren McClymans. Man, today we're going to be talking about Invincible Season 2, Episode 4, titled It's Been a While. We're joined today by Mr. Jake over here, Mr. Darth Bunyan. How's it going?
It's good. It's going good. How about you?
I am good. It's very crazy that we're already at the hiatus point. Invincible just came back and it's gone just as quick.
Yeah.
The internet's been very freaking out about it going on break. I thought they made it very clear it was going on break. Apparently, a lot of people did not know, and I've been seeing a lot of people being like, "No, we just got it back. This is so dumb." What are your thoughts on just the show going on break after just 4 weeks?
Um, I'm sad, but like you said, we knew it was coming. Um, but
Mm,
again, a lot of the people that don't take in the same
sure.
sources that we do, weren't didn't hear about that, so it was a very big shock. But like I've had a few weeks to come to accept it. So
Yeah, that's very true. It is very I think sometimes that we forget that there aren't always we look at this information a lot differently than the regular people just kind of watching the show. Like we hyper focus on every news story that ever comes out, and then there's you just have like Bob down the road who's like, wait, what's Invincible? Oh, that show that had that like think mark think meme around. Like there's people like that who don't follow it like we do. So yeah, I definitely get the disappointment. I personally kind of like a good hiatus. I like a good cliffhanger. I like that the month that we're gonna have to be like, what does Mark do after what happened in this episode?
yeah,
That month
yeah.
of just waiting and speculating and talking about it. I personally really love. Um,
I do think yeah, you're right because it could like say for example the Flash stuff, right?
mm,
Um, if they didn't have the mid-season break for
mhm.
the holidays, we might not have had like the big dramatic mid-season moments as
Oh
much,
yeah,
you know. And so
yeah, and
those were the best.
yeah. No, I mean I really miss the 22 episode formula where you'd have 8 episodes front of the season, an epic, you would have your crossover, then you would have your Christmas episode, which also doubled as your mid-season finale, which was
Yeah,
the craziest episodes, and then you'd have a whole back half for the
yeah.
rest of the year. Those, man, I miss those days. I really do. But yeah, no, it's kind of and again, it is frustrating that it is a break after only 4 episodes, but I personally like that we get to enjoy it for what 13 weeks instead of just 8. So but yeah, Invincible this week again, our mid-season finale. Let's check in with the comment section really quick. Kai Rex is here with a couple comments. Awesome, this episode was freaking amazing. It was freaking amazing. It was really good. um Kai also said, and apparently the episodes are going to be 5 through 8 are going to be even more insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've heard this season, they have said that this episode 8, were better than all of season 1. And we'll dive into that a little bit more kind of once we get into this episode, because I do kind of have some thoughts on that prospect. Liam in the chat, Liam said, hope everyone is good this evening. We are good this evening. Thank you so much. And then our good buddy Lance, how's it going? Darren After Dark. Kind of. It is dark outside. It is very dark outside. So Invincible. Let's dive into the episode. Just kind of your, there's obviously a lot of things to talk about this week, but just kind of your genuine thoughts on the episode.
um. Wow. Wow. Um. Everything I wanted. Like 99%. Like if my what I thought like how fast the aging cycle might have been a little bit faster. So like the brother might have been like a little bit older, but like I'm completely happy with everything. And it was so much more than I thought was going to come as well. And zero multiverse, and it did not suffer for it in any way. It was all this universe, what we needed, and it was so good.
I'm curious when that's going to come into play, because I'll be honest, right now, I couldn't care less about the multiverse stuff. I am so satisfied with this current story that we're telling. It's almost like it doesn't like, and again, I'm so curious how it's going to intertwine into the season, because I assume the back half is going to seriously have a big impact on the storyline, and how they do the multiverse. So, but again, like I don't need it. Like, I think the storyline they're telling right now is so compelling. Um, Speaking of things being compelling, we got a Mr. Three Dubs here. How's it going, Mr. Three Dubs?
Going good. Yeah.
Three Dubs, have you seen Invincible?
Yes.
Thank goodness. Three Dubs, what was your kind of opinion on this week's episode of Invincible?
Well, I saw 3 and 4 at the same time, so
Okay.
technically I watched 2 hours. I literally thought it was like, wait a second, is this 23 minutes? I'm like checking, like as soon as I got to the halfway part, literally 23 minutes. I was like, this is longer than 23 minutes.
No, they are 1 hour episodes.
I
I
was
appreciate.
I was really happy about that, because I was
So
like, if it was 23 minutes, I would be like, ugh.
so so you basically watched a movie. You watched like a 2-hour movie.
It was Invincible, you know.
It's great. It's great.
um,
No, go ahead, sorry.
it was for me, it was both episodes combined were a 9 out of 10.
Mm, mhm.
I had some spots, like I was watching another show of another character on episode 3, but it gave you a little backstory though.
Yeah.
Mr. Allen, yeah. I still don't know who the hell that narrator was.
That was hilarious, by the way, because it was like as soon as something got good, he's like, "Oh, let them have their privacy," and goes on, and then he got like he tried to do like
It's
one
so funny.
version and one version, and they couldn't do it because they were both getting laid.
And even the darn cat, the darn cat was even having a
Good old time.
good old time.
It was like they panned to the cat, and the cat was like, "Okay, this is a cat."
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was this episode like the most F bombs dropped? Because it
I
felt
think so. Yeah,
there was
they dropped
so
a
many.
lot.
Yeah, and
Those,
it all felt natural. To be fair, do you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like none of it felt forced. It was like just you would just do nothing but. Do you know what I mean? I do
Yeah.
not blame them whatsoever.
Those poor reaction channels have to bleep it every time.
I literally had to laugh about the fact that when we got the Invincible card, like how they always do, but
Yeah.
he finished his sentence though. He's
Yeah,
like, they were like,
the title card can like
he
stop.
has to be, and then he cuts it and goes, and then he just cusses it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're gonna jump into kind of our notes here throughout the episode that I had written down, and obviously you guys can intervene if you have something that I kind of missed as we go through this. So we start kind of off the episode with Nolan, and we see him kind of wandering through space after the events of last season, after where we left Mark, what Nolan was doing. And we see him kind of like wandering through, and he saves this bug species of aliens, and ultimately see him go down and become their like emperor. What was everyone's kind of thoughts on where we left Nolan, what he was doing? Obviously, there's some big stuff, like we've seen what he's been going through and how he's changing, but like, what were your thoughts on just kind of what he was doing while we were gone?
I knew he was broken, right? Obviously from the way that he left. I was unsure as to like because obviously that like him being on that planet was kind of spoiled like a long time ago. Obviously through comics as well. That obviously that's not being spoiled. That's just the original material.
Yeah.
But I weren't sure of like how that happened, like whether he kind of felt ashamed of how he handled things on Earth and he kind of went in like with an iron fist on this planet, or like if it happened just naturally like it did. So I'm really happy with where they took the story, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
I found it very interesting.
I was very shocked with where we took Nolan. I thought, obviously, I always thought we were going to be doing something very. I honestly didn't know where we were going to be taking Nolan this season. I thought we would spend a little bit more time with him as the the Iron Fist dad who obviously loves his son and loved his pet, but it ultimately has a mission. But we see after the events of last season, after what Mark told him and said to him and got through to him, he did truly get through to him, and he's going through space. He has nothing left. He can't go back to Earth. He can't go back to his planet, right? He is truly lost in this moment. And I will say, I think that whole sequence with just the music playing, with him going through space, with him finding these different worlds and not knowing who he is, I thought that scene was incredible. I thought it was really, really good.
Is he supposed to be over 2,000 years old in season 1?
I do not know.
It's very interesting, right? Obviously, having a family changes you and stuff, and
over 2,000, yes.
In those 2,000 years, like he would have been involved in like the conquering and annihilation of a few planets. Do you know what I mean? And each of them would have been as peaceful. Well, not that Earth's very peaceful, but as peaceful as everyone tries to be here. So it's interesting, like the impact that everybody had. Obviously, his family more than anybody else. To have such a dramatic change. Do you know what I mean? Because, like you said, like he's lost that whole Iron Fist. Because let's face it, that empire is like a whole cult. You know what I mean? We have to be the strongest and just destroy everybody that says no.
Yeah,
it's horrific. So
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I found it just so, because obviously there's definitely several layers to this moment. Some we've seen off screen, some we haven't. But of course, like, I think it all started when they had Mark and him spending so much time on Earth. I think that's when this kind of this transformation kind of started for him. And then having to kill the globe, hearing what Mark said about like after 1,000 years, what will you have? And he's like, I'll have you, Dad. Like, I think that was such a monumental moment for Mark. And him realizing, like, because he seems like he was in space for a while. Like, he grew a full beard. Like, he had a lot of time to think by himself. Then he saved the alien species, and I think that put some things into like perspective for him as well, about like, hey, maybe I am just really good at this thing. Like, maybe I can just be a hero. And then seemingly falling in love again with the alien. Let's kind of jump into that, actually, which I think people from the comics knew about this. Obviously, we had heard our first stream for the season. We had heard about a stepbrother, or like a brother, right? And I was like, oh, interesting. We're going to do something there. And we did meet that. Omni-Man obviously brings Mark to this planet, and he has to shows Mark his new wife and his child. Did anyone see this coming, or was this kind of a shock to you guys?
He did tell us.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I can bore another son.
I can. Yeah, he's like, I can just get another and start over again. I wonder if that doesn't seem like it was his intention when doing it this time, though. Like, it didn't feel like he went to this planet, he met her to replace Mark. He even says like, hey, I didn't replace you. That's not what this is, which I think is a very nice parallel to the first season as well.
It's
Darth,
only been
what
like a couple of months at most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like you said, he was adrift for a while.
Yeah.
So, like, I would say at most, like, he's had this family for a month and a month and a half, or a month and a half at most. And they get like obviously compared to us, they live like mayflies, but then obviously to Viltrumites even more so. So to have this this genetic pairing is very, very interesting.
That's actually a really good point that I didn't even think of. Like, even just a Mark, that's like a long time, but to like Omni-Man, that's like an infant. Like, which is kind of weird to think about. No, I thought that like only living a year thing is very fascinating. I assume is the wife still alive, right? She's not dead. Okay. I'm curious what we're gonna do with the stepbrother, because from again what I've heard from fans who have read the comics, seems like he's going to play a major role. If not this season and maybe future seasons. Awesome. I predict he's probably going to go to Earth with Mark, and maybe cause some, I don't want to say issues, but I have a feeling he's going to come into play somehow. Where do we think we're taking that?
I think it'd be really nice. Sorry, his mom seems really cool.
The mom seems nice, yeah. Although she may only have like a month left.
Yeah, but I think like she's young enough that she still will have an impact on her life, on the son's life. So I don't think the Omni-Man will have too much of an influence on the brother. I hope not, anyway.
I'm also curious how long the baby will be able to live, because he does have some of Omni-Man's like DNA in him, right? So, and that has prolonged his aging a little bit. I wonder if we can kind of find a way to maybe surpass a year. Maybe now it's 2 years or 3 years or something. Maybe at some point maybe he stops aging or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
What I was gonna say is I think it like teeters out like maturity maybe.
Yeah.
And then like speed, like he has his fast but slowed down growing, gets to where he needs to, and then that's when the clock's like boom, okay, we're good to go. Let's just stop there, everybody. Let's just stop, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna be very curious. I don't know. I just have a feeling, and again, I've read the comics, so if this is true, it's not a spoiler. But like, I just have a seeking feeling he's gonna either be like a villain for Mark, or like either like some opposing force for him, or even just like a pain in the neck for Mark in the future. We'll see though. Maybe this is again, maybe this is stretching. I kind of like the idea of like, if he does live forever, I wonder if you have a like survivor's guilt, where it's like my mom and my friends and all my family, they're all dead. They die in a year, but I keep living. I can't die. Like, I feel like that would be a very interesting storyline to go down if they wanted to.
Might feel very lucky about it though, because
he could, yeah.
Because he can like really support his people, and like because like, you know, like how the ants turn up in Quantumania, like with we've lived for this long and we've had like this much growth. They go through that very quickly, but if they had like a guiding hand that like was a constant the whole way through, that would be very interesting.
Sure, that would be, yeah. I mean, that sounds, I feel like there are definitely several like there's several storylines that could go down with this character that would be absolutely fascinating. They did kill a lot of their species, I will say. Like, a lot of them are dead now, which is very sad. I don't mean to jump ahead, because that comes a bit later in the episode, but I'd be curious what that all entails. Maybe does the wife blame Nolan? Maybe it's like, if you never came, this wouldn't have happened, or something. That could be a thing. Maybe even the son blames Nolan at some point or another. A lot of people should blame Nolan. He's an asshole.
Yeah, to be fair, the Viltrumites wouldn't have even bothered about like like how they say, right, bow to us or we'll destroy you.
Mhm.
With how little they thought of them, I don't even think they would have done that. I think they would have just wiped them all out on passing
Yeah,
anyway. So I think he
that's
done
a
them.
good point. That's a good point. Yeah, they're so like they are so weak. Like they say, like you just touch them and they die. Like they are so weak and fragile. Which is actually kind of insane that Mark, like he kind of beat the one up last week. Like he was like throwing him around and stuff. It's like it's a good thing Mark didn't kill him. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he could have easily. Um, we'll see though. Moving a little bit along into the episode. I my sole note on this character is just poor Debbie. I just wrote poor
Oh,
Debbie. Three Doves, do you have any thoughts on what we're doing with Debbie this season? Because my gosh.
She's in a dark place right now.
Mhm.
That's all. That's all I got. I'm like, I get it. I just don't. It's not a subject I like talking about.
It is so sad. I feel so
Yeah,
bad for her, and the parallel to Nolan. He has a new wife. He has a new kid. He genuinely
that's
seems.
piling on the darkness right there.
I know, and like Nolan genuinely. I mean, certain parts of the episode he's not happy clearly, but this seems like the first half at least is the happiest we've seen Nolan, and then you just go back to Debbie just having a rough night. Like she's walking home from the episode prior, and her feet must be so unbelievably broken. And there's that incredible scene where she's in front of the like gravestone, and she's like, "Why do I miss you? You never cared about me. You suck. I should not miss you." And she still does. She still loves the son of a bitch. And I thought it was a really good kind of parallel to Nolan this week, because this episode was all about like sympathizing with Nolan. And for the first time, I think in the show, we're finally seeing, we kind of understand why Nolan did what he did and what kind of led him down this path, especially with the ending of the episode. Um, Darth, do you have any kind of opinions on the like Debbie stuff?
Um, just that Mark Hamill was a hero as always. I like he's a joker, but like
Yeah,
as a hero, coming in and saving the day and turning Debbie around and showing her how strong she was all along. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That yes, she's had a rug pull, but honestly, like he said, that just makes how she was living official anyway. You know.
hmm
So I love that, and I like what you said about changing our point of view on Nolan, because as Liam says, like Omni Man talks about how they don't have feelings, and like they drum it out of him in that cult. Like I keep calling it is a cult. The Viltrumites are a cult. Like it's not an
yeah,
empire or a dictatorship. Like they are drumming out their feelings and saying, "Do what we say, or we will kill you."
yeah.
You know, there's no room for anything of who they are, um, even to the point of who they're allowed to sire children with. You know,
hmm
um, so yeah, honestly, I think like he's had like a massive change, and if he doesn't die, spoiler alert, obviously for the end of the episode,
Yeah,
uh, if he doesn't die, if they don't kill him off, like it's going to go 50-50 with the Viltrumites, right? He's either going to inspire change or like just radicalize everyone even more that they're not doing their job enough. You know, I'm hoping that he's going to turn some heads and they're going to be like, well, maybe this
hmm
doesn't have to be the way that we are. You know, it's going to lead to a lot of fighting, but Viltrumite on Viltrumite fighting, I'm here for that.
After this episode, hell yeah. No, I mean, it feels like in just a span of one episode, like Omni Man went from one of Earth's biggest, how do I want to say this? Like one of Earth's biggest enemies to, I think, maybe one of his only hopes. Like, I feel like the only chance that Earth and Mark has, if Mark can somehow free Omni-Man, can free Nolan, get him out of there, maybe don't take him to Earth, but put up a plan to maybe how to take down like the Empire, right? This really corrupt, and as we saw last week, like they were saying, Mark might be the only way to win this war against them, right? And I think if we can not only get Mark but also Nolan, which has proven to be a very powerful member of his species, like he's one of their best, it seems like. Maybe not the best, but like he's up there in the rank. Like him and Mark were able to take down the three of them for the most part. So I'm going to be very curious, and I don't want to jump to the end right yet, how we kind of left the ending, but I'm going to be very curious. I'm kind of going down my list of notes here. We had.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I love
Sorry, go ahead.
when they met up again, right? Because
yes.
There was a lot of people
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that were expecting straight fisticuffs, the second like on-site beef, right? But first and foremost, he's his dad. That's who he is and all he knows. This superhero stuff has been really quick and not a lot of it. Do you know what I mean? In comparison to everything else. So he's obviously really missed him. You know what I mean? The home is broken. So the first thing he does is hug him. Like he goes for, you know, like all of that and that. But yeah, I love that. And the fact that he did not let it go over Debbie. Like you called her a pet and she is a wreck and she is struggling and it is all your fault.
Yeah, that was that was one of my favorite parts of this episode as well, where I think the show does a really good job at showing that emotions are weird. Like there aren't just like, hey, I feel this way all the time, no matter what. Mark is furious at his father. He hates his dad. He broke his mother. He broke his city. He broke him. He's been trying to come to terms with it all season. But there is that instinct as his son. He does ultimately, just like Debbie, and we've been talking about how Debbie and Mark deal with their feelings differently. Just like Debbie, as much as they hate him, they ultimately do also love him, and he missed his dad so much. So I love that. It was a hug. I missed you, and then, what the fuck, Dad? I hate you. You suck. I thought that was really, really good. 3Dubs, do you have any kind of opinions on that whole hug versus fight scene?
Well, I liked how Invincible stayed with his principles, because you see Omni-Man like saying kill or be killed, and he never killed. Omni-Man killed. Basically, he stuck to his principles, even though he thought he could do it, he still couldn't.
Yeah, went Ultra Instinct though, didn't he? Just like,
which was a really good scene. That felt like the first time, like that's what we've been asking for. Dodge, Mark. Finally learning to dodge a good punch.
Comes in with like all of that. It was so good. It was so good.
Oh, it was really fun. No, I mean just all just all the like Vulture Might fight scenes in this episode, I think were some of the show's best fights. Like I definitely get why people were saying it beats out some of season 1, or how this episode's better than season 1. What's everyone's thoughts on that? Because I'll be honest, I kind of, as good as this episode was, as great as it was, everyone's saying that this episode beating out all of season 1. I don't personally agree with that statement. I think the hype of the ending of the first episode ever of the show, and the ending of last season as well, I do think I liked more than this episode. What are you guys' kind of opinions on that?
What about you, Dubs?
Dubs.
Well, that's not my name, but anyway, well, I think season 1 as great at what it got me into it, so I have to say that season 1's still better than one episode, but overall season 2 has upped the ante. So I did like how they tried to do better, which is, they're doing better, so there's that.
I would have to say like if I'm just comparing them side by side,
Hmm.
season one, I think so far, like, um, is better because of what it did. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, so far with season two, we what we have is a lot of the hype from season one. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that carries a lot with it. If you just took it as its own separate series and watched it without the hype of season one, would you
Mm,
still feel the same way?
sure.
Probably not, right?
Yeah,
So,
this first half has been very interesting because in some aspects it has kind of been like a slow burn. Like episode 2, like everyone loved episode 2. I loved it as well, but like that was the episode where I was like a lot, like they did a lot here. They were trying to push a lot, and I felt like it could have maybe been a little neater, but at the same time it's also just so good that I almost don't care.
mhm.
Like I don't really care at the slow burn because everything there on screen is also just so good. And I do think the back half is really going to make up for it. Like I do think the first 3 were very much having to build up to this episode, and I think that we are at this episode. We can just catapult these next 4 episodes. I think they're going to be just nonstop insanity. Again, I don't know where we're ending with the cliffhanger, what that leads to. If we kind of go back to more of like a status quo for like Mark, or if it's just nonstop from there. I do kind of want to go through some of these other things before we talk about the final moments of the episode, because again, the final moments insane. Let's talk about the Mahler twins, that storyline episode. The Mahler twins are always a weird one because I never know how they fit into the story, but they're so entertaining.
Yeah.
They are like it's so separate from everything else. But they're so fun to watch. Obviously, after the event, we haven't seen them in a couple of episodes actually, but after the events of episode 1, half of his face is like burned off. He's very two-faced, and now they know which out of these 2 were the original, which I thought was a lot of fun. What were you guys' kind of thoughts on like this mini, like
This
2 minutes of screen time storyline?
this felt like a side story of how one gets his face fixed, basically. Because all he did was literally do what the robot did in season 1, but in this case, he kills the original.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, the original, just like perished.
Well, this is the thing. With with their setup, I think we're like several clones in to have lost the original.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
I think
So
we're like thousands of clones in by this point.
But
yeah,
it,
but that original one has gone like multiple times. So
I
we're
don't even think
we're
we've
on
seen the original.
clones of the clones. Do you know what I mean?
but
So
Like I
each time the clone makes another clone, that clone that made the clone is the original.
yes,
So
like it's the original between
like
those
what
2.
I'm saying is like, I thought it was so interesting because like I was like, that's their whole gimmick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, gone out the window. So now there's like this entirely new dynamic, and they showed that it did not work. Their work suffered
Yeah.
because of it. And he's like, that's why everything is the way it is, and I just love that. I love that. I was like, that does answer a question. Do you know what I mean? Because there would be ways to prove it. Obviously, well,
I would like
not, but
yeah, I would get like a tattoo or something and put it on my hands or something to be like, it was me, you know? I don't know. I thought it was very fun. I think the original definitely took advantage of his power, and he was listening. He's like, "Fine, I'll make you dinner." And I was like, "You don't have to listen to him just because he's the original."
right. Yeah, he just straight went with it. There was no argument. It was so weird.
He's like, "Fine, I guess I'm a little bitch, and I'll do it."
he did it, and then he turned the tables. That's why he did.
Yeah, has to go back to the status quo. I wonder where we're taking these characters this season, because it always kind of feels like they're just off on their own adventure, but it also feels important. Like it doesn't feel like filler or anything. Like it always feels like we're building to something. And I assume, I guess they're closer to the multiverse arc than kind of what we're dealing with Mark and like Omni-Man and stuff like that. So I'll be curious how they come back into play.
I love the Donald stuff. That was really cool this week.
That's next on my my notes here. I mean,
I was spoiled on him, so I know exactly who he is.
we yeah, like this was something you were very passionate about episode 1, Darth. You're like,
Yeah.
how is he back? How does this work? And Donald kind of goes on this mission carried by last week's episode of him being like, Debbie's being very weird when she saw me. What is this about? And him going and investigating and finding his glasses, which I'm very shocked the glasses like survive.
I know.
Those are some strong glasses. My goodness.
I mean, they had to like. It's basically like Gotham Knights, where a knife just magically falls and they match it with the paper. It's a plot convenience.
I was also very shocked how easily he was able to find the video file. Like, he found it very easily. He's like, the first one I click. Oh, yes, this one must... Oops, don't go there. This one must be it. That's from, like, a video from, like, 5 weeks ago.
That's actually very apt as well, because, like, both LMDs, aren't they?
Yeah, you could think. Darth, what was your kind of opinions on everything we did with Donald? Because, of course, this is something you've been very passionate about.
I was sitting there, and anytime we get Donald investigating it, I am sitting there like, thank God, because I was so worried that they're just going to leave that just hanging in the air and explain nothing, and I was just going to slowly just be driven to madness.
I mean, wow. They know exactly how it ended, so there's going to be answers. I knew that it was going to be answered no matter what, because guy freaking blew up.
I know, but Cecil is very manipulative. Do you know what I mean? So, and you know what I mean? There's that thing about like don't wake up a sleepwalker. What do you do about a clone that doesn't know he's a clone? You know what I mean? What are the rules for this? Nobody knows.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot about clones this season, man. This season's all kind of like the Molar twins and the stuff with Donald, and
you kind of get like there's been clones. Like, I mean, there's a clone doesn't know when he's a clone. They kill the original.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work with Donald.
I think he's got to be a robot, right? That's why the knife bent.
No, I think he's a stronger, more advanced clone. Like
he has like blood, right? So a robot wouldn't have blood.
Tell that to Terminator.
Maybe. I wonder if Nolan just gave him like powers or something. Like, I'm gonna make you stronger, so hopefully this doesn't happen to you again or something.
Unless he's got like a whole closet full of Donalds, just lined up on coat hangers, ready to go when the next one.
Sure.
It's Resident Evil right there.
Why do you think the one we saw last season was our first Donald, or could this be something that they've done a bunch? How insane would that be if I'm like I'm the 10th Donald? Like, that would be nuts.
That is very cool. Like, because they deal with like a lot of big stuff, and only Cecil so far has that teleporter.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 20. I mean, yeah, man, wow. Maybe because.
I think it might
be been there 20 years. So how old is that agency?
Yeah.
I think it might be a lot much bigger than 10. I think the number's in the hundreds.
That'd be insane. That would be nuts. I'm also wondering what up, Kai? How's it going? I'm also wondering what's so special about Donald. Is it just that he's his friend and he wants to keep him around and that's what's keeping him sane? Or is there something... I mean, it's very Phil Coulson. Actually, now that you mention it, let's bring this back on screen. Let's do it. No, it's kidding. Yeah, no, that's a very good point. It could be like a Phil Coulson Fury thing where he respects him as an agent and he wants him around. And he does good work, so I'm just gonna keep bringing him back. He doesn't ask questions. He just does what he's told. I don't know. Actually, now you mention it, Donald kind of looks like an older Phil Coulson. now that you mention it, kind of comments says, just got the official Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline book. It's very, and there's nothing else, just getting interesting. Well, I hope you enjoy it. I do want to buy it soon. I just haven't got around to it. What we're talking about, Donald. That's right. Do we have any kind of final thoughts on this whole Donald stuff besides just kind of where we left it?
No, not really. I do hope that Donald gets to meet Deborah, or no, Denise, excuse me, his female counterparts, because I think that would be kind of
Oh
fun.
yes. Mm-hmm.
What
You know
if-
what I? Sorry,
what
go
if-
ahead.
What if she has been with 100 Donalds and doesn't know it? That's dark.
You know what he could have just done? He could have just asked Debbie. He could have been like, "Hey, what happened?" I mean, maybe she didn't want to bother him, or like he didn't want to bother her because she's been going through it. But like, I feel like that's where we have to go.
Conversation. It's 2 minutes. It's like, hey, what's up? You know, you give me a bit of a funny look on the water cooler the other day. Just wanted to chat about it. You know.
Yeah,
I'm going to hack my boss's account. You know, I'm going to go check out a few, a bomb site. Why not? All of this to across the street from your house. Although to be fair, he did go and try and talk to her, didn't he? To be fair, he went home. She was too busy off contemplating.
Donald's, I forget his name. What if he actually sends Donald to those dangerous things to be like, hey, check this out, see if it's dangerous or not, and it blows up, and he go, okay, new Donald.
Yeah, it could very much so.
He's the guinea duck.
Mm-hmm.
How broken is
Donald Duck?
That man, you are predicting my series of notes because that's my next topic here is the Adam Eve stuff. I am curious where we're taking Adam Eve this season because just like the Molar stuff, but even more so, she feels so isolated from everything else. It almost feels like we're watching like an Adam Eve spinoff, which I will say I would watch the heck out of that. I would love a spinoff with her.
Yeah.
She is very much going through it. She's having a really rough time.
Okay, she feels isolated as well. That's why she went back home.
Listen. I want to YouTube. I'm not serious, so don't check down this video. I want to murder that dad. Oh. I want him dead so bad. We barely saw a shot of him. I saw his tiny little head, and I was like, "The son of a bitch."
He did like open a door and then just straight like put his arm up to say come in.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as if like she had to walk past him. He said come in and she went to the person that all three of them in the house know is the one to go to for comfort. It ain't his grumpy ass. Let's be it's gonna be the mum, so
but even she's not the best. Like I feel like she tries, but she's still so toxic.
I think she has that like 1950s housewife mentality. To like where it's only when it's like overtly toxic that she'll say something and then like leave the room. Do you know what I mean? So,
I also think is the thing where it's like she knows what her husband is doing is wrong and how she treats not only her but her daughter's wrong, but she's too afraid to say anything. And I would definitely agree with you that she has an old mentality, or even she's just afraid to speak up.
I do have a feeling that there is some truth around the feelings of her and Mark, even though it wasn't true. Like she wasn't cheating on him, cheating on her ex with him.
What?
Mark.
With what?
Yeah, with Adam Eve.
Yeah. Season 1.
I think there is a sort of connection, and I think she does like him in the bottom of her gut. Like it's not up to the top yet. I think she doesn't know she likes him. But
season 1, she went to go to his house after the whole Rex thing.
Yeah.
So I think like there is definitely something there, but Amber got there first. She respects that,
Yeah.
and that's it.
I think she clearly likes him. I don't think we've seen him like her yet, though. At least not in a big way.
I think you sort of got in that feeling in the first couple of episodes of season
Sure.
one,
Maybe.
but then
It's been a while since I've actually watched it, so maybe
he
I have to
then,
go back through.
he then realized that she was with the guy that was going to be her ex now. So
Mhm.
timing was sucky.
William said like he's when Mark was like, I want to talk to her. He's like, yeah, you and all the other male species. You know, like, Adam Eve might just be one of those people that is just very attractive in their universe.
Yeah. 100%. Obviously she's going through a really hard time right now. She feels like everything she touches is crumbling. Obviously after the events of last week, or no, episode 2. It's actually been a while since we've seen her. But like she obviously crashed down that building and she feels bad. She's kind of in a real slump. And we see her like put on the suit for the first time all season. I think that she kind of wears her like superhero suit, right?
And mask as well.
Yeah, and she's a proper superhero, and she's fighting the guy with like guns for hands and stuff. And I really like the scene a lot because she's clearly using this as a way to get out her aggression. She's using him as this like punching bag. Eve could have taken him out in 2 seconds, turned his hands into fish, and called it a day. Like she could have easily done that, but she's toying with him. She's angry. She wants to beat him down, and in the process, she knocks a family into a river. And we don't know if I don't think they say if they're alive or if they're dead.
You'll find out.
But was it her first fight with the same dude, like from her special?
I think it was. I knew I had seen him before, but I couldn't. I was like, "Is this the anime special? Was this season 1 of Invincible?"
Well, both. I think both. But I think like he was the first one she fought as a kid. So the fact that he took this long to mess around with him and was purely venting her frustrations really does put like a lot more in her camp. Like because like with Omni-Man training Mark, when he was fighting the guy that was like made out of stone, and he was like, it doesn't look like it, but you did way more damage than you need to, because like as Green Arrow was saying to Flash, you could do this, this, and this, lickety split. She could have handled her business straight away. Those people did not even need to be in any danger. So her taking a break and taking some time to check herself is like phenomenally wise and very important to do. So I'm very glad she's doing it.
100%. I think like Eve can clearly be a god. She can be a god among men if she wants. I think she's just going about it all wrong, and I think she is going to need to step back a little bit and be like, how do I help the world? Because I messed it up as a superhero. I messed it up as just Eve. Who am I in this world? What do I do next? I personally think going back to her parents is the worst outcome. I don't think that's the right move. I think maybe hanging out with Amber and William would have been a better call. I feel like those are people that would support her more than her parents, but we'll see. We'll see where that goes and where her story is going as a whole. Because again, I don't know how she's going to fit into like the larger picture of things.
She's rebuilding herself from the ground up.
Yeah,
I think on the accent, like the couple that are in the ocean that she had to save. I think she was too late.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were down there for a minute. I think I have a hard time believing that they could save them.
And if she was using her powers properly, she could have transformed the water in their lungs to like oxygen or some shit. Or, do you know what I mean? She could have
turned into air or something. Yeah.
She went down with a fucking scuba mask, right?
Which was a lot of fun. I thought that was very cool.
That whole thing. She could have just.
You're right.
Like there was no need for any of that.
You're
like
in the
she
stand
was
or something.
not thinking straight. Do you know what I mean? Just like is crazy.
That means that she took her time to get the mask and then jump in the water.
Yeah, and she could have straight just gone, doof, no, and then just split the whole thing, and then there they are breathing air like fine, you know.
Mm-hmm. And also, he could have like he was on top of her. She could have just been like, "You're on a wall" or something, and then like I feel like she's still underutilizing her full potential.
She's on top of her.
He was on top of her in hopefully a non-sexual way. I am trying to take you down, and you're technically a teenager way. Moving on. Let's.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's kind of cutting to the end a little bit, and not in a roundabout way.
Yes, that's kind of where we're at anyway.
So like Mark was, Debbie was saying to Cecil about not being beholden to him because of the money. She's just going to go off and venture herself. And that I've never thought about Nolan's career. I always assumed Debbie was the breadwinner because of how much he goes off fighting and stuff. He's got to be writing a book how Clark Kent writes a bloody report. Do you know what I mean? He's got to be because there's no way that he's sitting there writing novels on a Sunday just kicking back. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be the most hurried thing ever.
Give pictures of Spider-Man for my book.
So, I'm dying to know where that goes because that's a breadcrumb I'm very, very eager to pick up on, and I really think it's going to be like a blueprint and history and maybe even a way into a weakness of the Viltrumite Empire.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we end the episode with him saying, "Read my bookmark." Which is I'm very curious. I was also blown back that he had books. I wonder if he wrote them himself. I have a feeling he didn't. I agree with you. I doubt he was sitting there on a Sunday afternoon writing a novel. I cannot see Nolan doing that. I bet he has authors being like, "Hey, I'm a superhero. I'm cool. Write books about me and let me get half of the profit." I think that's what happens here, and that's why they have so much money. But I do think there is something in the book. There's a note, there's a tip, there's a hint, there's a secret somewhere in one of the books. One of the books that Debbie just got rid of. So
Mark's gonna have to go to the library to read them now.
Yeah, unless what if it's in just one book? What if there's a special he put there's a secret passageway in one of the books, in the old Scooby-Doo cartoons, in one carving there's a vial of blood or something weird like that. I don't know.
You know what I would do? Do you know what I would do to save myself from reading any of it? I would go and ask a robot. I would say, "Hey, would you scan these books quickly and then
all of them,
any prevalent information to my situation, please?" Of course, bang. There you go.
Speaking of robots, we didn't get. There are so many characters in the show. We didn't touch the Guardians, and the Guardians is 9 characters. It was that packed of an episode that each episode you can't feature everyone.
And that's without duplicate using their powers.
Yeah. It's so many. Even the stuff, even Amber and William, they were in the episode, but they were not in the episode. They had cameos.
Yeah.
Let's kind of go to the end of the episode. The stuff everyone's kind of talking about. They're obviously fighting off they're fighting off all these people, and Nolan thinks he wins. They're like, "It's okay, son, we'll get you." And the one comes in and just breaks his back. He just rams into his back, which looked so incredibly painful. Absolutely just so painful. And we end the episode with Nolan being captured, them taking Nolan, and we meet General Kree, which was voiced by Mark not Mark Hamill.
Brown.
Mr. Krabs. What's his name?
Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown, thank you. Which also voiced Darkblood last season, which I thought was kind of fun that he got to play both characters. But
Yeah.
Mark is now tasked with taking over his father's job of preparing Earth for their army, which is a fantastic way to end the season. May I add? It's like, hey, you prepare for what your dad was doing, having to kill people when needed, or we'll come and we'll just erase you all. We'll take you all out. Which I thought was a genius scene, especially for an episode that's trying to make Nolan look not good, but like seeing his point of view and what he had to do. What was your kind of opinion? Sorry, of this whole kind of ending.
The fight is so insane, and it did show, like that when Omni-Man or Nolan was fighting the Guardians, he fought them like Viltrumites because he wasn't playing. He fought to kill. Do you know what I mean? So like he was holding back with everybody else, but then the second he was trying to take over, he gave them no ground, you know. So then when he was fighting Thula and Lucan and I forget the third one, it was really, really cool. And I loved that he was trying to get Mark to step it up even more. But then as Three Doves was saying that his principles won out, you know.
Yeah.
And we also got
great. He's like, don't think, just go, just do it. Which I thought was a really fun callback.
Doing it was really cool.
I think it's still going to play out. Like, I don't think he's going to kill any of the humans that he was ordered to.
No.
I think he's going to ask for help. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I think that the cloning or whatever is going to play in. I think.
Could we clone Mark? Is that possible?
No, I mean, like, I think that they're going to do what they did with Donald, clone a bunch of people, and then have Mark kill the clones because they're not real people.
Oh. That's still murder, though.
It's not, though, because it's not the original.
Yeah, but...
That's still murder.
Yeah, it's still murder. They are real people. It's just... Because then the clones go on to have their own thoughts and feelings. And it's like, wait, I don't want to be murdered, guys. I'm not, like, this isn't cool.
As Donald would say, as Donald's, you know, like, he's disposable. He can die and be recreated again.
I mean, true, but it is still murder.
Sure.
It's in the eyes of people, you know, they're like, "Oh, I'm not dead," but that clone's not me, so I'm okay with it.
But Donald's family
would not say that Donald is disposable. That is a very much a matter of perspective.
But if Mark went,
no, I'm not saying. I'm saying in the eyes of the government, the guy that created Donald would say he's disposable.
Sure, but I think what we're saying, if Mark went down right now and murdered Donald, that would be murder. Like,
yeah.
No, he doesn't know that he's a clone, so yeah, it would be murder. But if the whole plan was to create like dummies, like hollow shells, and have them get killed, it wouldn't technically be murder because there's no soul in them.
Okay, I think they also have to like. I get what you're saying, like stage a whole thing so the Viltrumites come.
Yeah.
They're like,
that's a good idea. Yeah,
in charge. Oh, I believe you. But then the issue is like they're now a part of the Empire, so then like things would still have to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's like a one and done thing where that would work.
They're going to try to fool them. That's my. I think they're going to try to stage it.
Then maybe we have to make robots and not clones, because clones.
That's the other thing.
Let's make some robots and then try this plan.
If we the robot, you know, on the team is technically a person, that would still be murdered because he's
100%.
He's an AI. He's not
100%.
actual. He's not actual like flesh and bones, but you know.
He is.
No, the season 1 guy.
Yeah,
He's
still
now,
fresh.
he's now flesh and bones.
he is
But-
now. Yeah.
He was
but-
as well. He was in a tube.
No, like the robot, because we didn't know he was another person controlling the robot. So technically, if they killed the robot, it's still murder because they didn't know that he was not in the robot.
I see where you're coming from. I
It's
disagree
basically
though.
the clone thing. It's basically
I
the
will-
clone thing.
As the law says, ignorance of a fact does not equate innocence.
But I mean, like it's the same thing as a clone and a robot. They're both things. They're not actual people.
Well, I would argue that C3PO and R2D2 are like people. So,
Well,
androids and
in real
robots.
life, they are. They're
Yeah.
they're.
I have a feeling. I think that I don't think Mark's gonna go back to Earth yet. I think he might try to rescue his dad. I think that's his best plan of option. Like he
Alone?
might die in the process, but because like they're going to go kill Nolan. I don't think we kill Nolan.
See, that's the thing. Is one like you got to weigh up. Like, does he go alone and have zero chance, or does he try and get back up to have more chance, but then potentially miss the chance to stop an execution because of how long it might take?
I think he would get all of his friends killed though if he brought like the Guardians or something. Like, I think Mark's the only one that could live. Like Alan couldn't even like beat 3 of them. Like,
Adam Eve, I think, would do all right.
maybe, but like Mark paralyzed her in like the other world.
Well,
you know?
But if she kicked off like she did in her special,
Yeah.
they wouldn't stand a chance.
I think she could. I think she has that power in her that she could take one, like she could take one on. But in her current state, like she had a hard time beating arm cannon guy. Like, I don't know. So I'll be curious to see where we take off again. Like, does Mark just go back to Earth and pretend like everything's okay and talk to Cecil about what's going on? Does he go to the other planet and their planet?
Do you think Mark tell his mum?
Ooh, that's an interesting thing. If he goes back,
it's kind of funny though. If you
I wouldn't. I don't know.
I started, pondering about this just now. Like it's a on the cuff like thought. What if Adam Eve is actually in every universe likes Mark, just like how Iris likes Barry in every universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like sometimes like stuff happens where Amber comes into play, but she still likes Mark.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that she'd be very unlucky, given like that apparently most of them choose to take over the Earth.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, this one doesn't. And she's
this
the
is
most
one of the
unlucky.
few.
She is like the most unlucky one because Amber is the one with Mark.
Yeah.
For now, I mean, because he's going to age like Mark is. So if she just waits him out, waits out Amber, it's like, oh yeah, you have your relationship, you have your little puppy love. That's fine. I'll be here 300 years later when you're nothing but dust.
Amber's been dead for 100 years, and
yeah.
I wonder if like Adam Eve can die. I wonder how that works.
Imagine she, like Gwen from Ben 10, like how her.
Oh, very similar. Yeah.
Like, imagine if that's what she ends up looking like, just because like the human stuff just wears all away, and then she's just like a being of energy, like thousands of years later.
Cool. That would be very, very cool. But yeah, that's the end of my notes here. Does everyone kind of have final thoughts on this episode? Any like predictions going into episode 5 in a couple months?
I am so confused on what the guy is thinking. The one that's supposed to be on the good side.
Who are we talking about?
The one that the one that was built for
Alan.
Alan, yeah, him.
Oh, Alan. Okay.
The guy that created him is a like.
I know what you're talking about. Okay.
I don't get what his plan is because that's stupid. Come in the whole like
Sure.
specter, unless he's the mole.
He is the mole.
He is.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't specified.
Well, that's
Like,
why he killed him.
Well, we don't know why he killed him, but it wasn't
'Cause he's the mole.
He didn't visually say he was the mole.
Context clues, buddy. Context clues.
Okay. You said I couldn't bring it up unless it comes up.
Go for it. Go.
It's roundabout coming up, and I don't know if I can bring it up. Like,
I mean, I would prefer if you didn't.
I'm not okay. Fine, I won't. A spoiler, right? But yeah, it's. But I kind of okay. It's so cool. I can't wait to see where they go with it. So okay, so forget that. Back to back to the end. The end was really good. The fighting was insane.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching the Viltrumites fight because obviously, like, they fight to kill. I really want to see more of their civil war. Obviously it was over very quickly. They went from like thousands of civilians down to like 50. There's like 50 in the Empire now, so it's not even a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then like so the captain or General Craig or whoever his name is, he was one, and Thula, I believe. They were two of the Viltrumites we saw like during that fight, and I think at least the General Craig was with the introduction of the Viltrumites, with Nolan talking about it to Mark. The casting, I would say, is phenomenal. You just forget how many like big people are attached to the show, just because of how
It's cast as
well, how well everybody just embodies the character they're portraying. Phil Lamar, Mark Hamill, Clancy Brown, as we said before, J.K. Simmons, Zazie Beetz, Sandra Oh, Kevin Michael Richardson. I mean, come on,
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like it's just like big actors playing a role because they're big actors. Like, they all feel perfectly casted, and they all do such a good job at their voice work. I mean, I think J.K. Simmons. It's so hard for me to watch a role with J.K. Simmons without hearing just like Jonah or like J.K. Simmons himself. Like, he's so big, he's so good. But like when he is Omni-Man, it's Omni-Man. It's not like Jonah. It's not Avatar. It's
gotta get Spider-Man.
Yeah, bring me photos of, no. It's never that. I'm
gotta get Invincible.
Such a great show. I'm excited to see where we take the back half. It's sad that's going on break, but also I'm excited to be thinking about it these next 4 weeks over the holiday season.
Okay, wait. So there's 4 episodes left, right?
4 episodes left, yeah. January 4th.
We've had a lot, right?
There's been a lot, yeah.
But like we've had a lot in our 4 episodes, but we've had some, but not a lot of multiverse. We've had a lot of our people here, which I'm very grateful for. So do you think that's going to flip on its head and we're going to get more multiverse stuff and less of our stuff? Or do you think they'll split it to 50-50? Because they've got like the multiverse stuff, they've now got Nolan's execution to deal with, like where Mark goes. And then if that's the case, who takes the narrative on Earth? Because Debbie, what she's going to be doing now is just finding a house and like starting a job maybe somewhere else. I mean, that's not going to be like, oh, let's tune into that every week, Yeah,
I'm so intrigued how they're going to like combine these storylines together. I've wondered if he's going to get like an alternate Mark to help him out with Omni-Man or something. But like we've heard he's one of the only like good ones. So
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
So that's not going to encourage that behavior.
Yeah, but I would also argue if Omni-Man can change, right? If we can see his change, I think Mark definitely could. I think he's much closer to being like, wait, this is wrong. Wait, joining my father was never the right move. So who knows? I wonder if any of the other Earths, because like we always hear that, like we had heard that Mark had joined Omni-Man almost every time. But I wonder if any of those other ones ever came to a point where they're like, wait a minute, I kind of like people like this is wrong. Wait, like this is an issue. So I'll be very curious. But with that being said, we're coming towards the end of our Invincible stream. I want to thank 3Dubs and Darth Bunyan for joining us today. With this being the last episode of Invincible, this is our last Darren after the credits for I would assume most of next month, potentially rest of the year.
This is the last episode of Invincibles? I don't think so.
What if?
Yeah. Nothing comes out until like the end of this year. So we'll hopefully come back in 2024.
What if or Echo out?
What if it's like the last week of the month, of next month? So it'll either be the very end of 2023 or the beginning of 2024. I haven't done the math. I don't know if any of you guys watch Percy Jackson. I've debated covering Percy Jackson on the show. We'll see, because I am excited for that.
I'm definitely going to watch it because I watched the originals.
Yeah. So is it like have anything to do with the movies that I watched a couple years ago?
It's a completely fresh thing.
It's a reboot of the original the book.
It's
an adaptation from the books.
Yeah,
so you don't have to know anything prior.
Yeah,
it's completely different. Because I enjoyed the movies.
Yeah,
but like I was sitting there thinking, how like I enjoyed the movies. If you're gonna make a connection, like how am I gonna follow that? But if it's completely fresh,
it's completely fresh. Yeah,
I will give that a go. Yeah.
In the movies, they're actually extremely like they move away from the content, but this TV show is more to the content.
Mm-hmm.
It's more to the books.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of fun shows coming up. Obviously, Echo, What If, Percy Jackson. In 2024, there's a lot of shows coming out. Penguin's coming out at some point. The Boys season 4 at some point, hopefully. So we got some fun stuff ahead. Again, I want to thank everyone that was in the chat today. We had Liam here. We had Kai here. We had this guy Robert here. I've never heard of him before. Lance was here. Thank you everyone who chatted for a bit. Invincible was on break, but I'm excited for it to come back next year. Guys, make sure you go check out all of their stuff. Darth Bunyan, we streamed on your channel a couple of weeks ago. That was a lot of fun. 3Dubs, you make edits and stuff, and obviously you're everywhere. Me and you are bouncing around to everyone's channel like it's ping pong. That's a lot of fun. But without further ado, guys, I will see y'all on the flip side. Bye-bye.